All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Coleman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. We have a solo podcast, which actually doesn't come around that often. It used to come around a hell of a lot more recent, but with guests and interviewing extremely, I'm going to say, um, topical individuals. They just haven't been out. I haven't been there as much. But again, if you're not following me on social medias, what else are you watching? Okay, so we'll go straight into this one. This is something that came through as a question off the back of signing up a new client, and it's the reason of why not to be afraid of carbohydrates, or why not is probably going to be the heading of this show particularly. Okay, so we're going to really break it down. What carbohydrates, because the body, right, runs off three different things: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Has done, will do, forever and always. Okay. And the key thing is, right, carbs are actually your body's first source of energy. They're often demonized. And I actually did struggle myself with, I suppose, nutrition myths about the carbs make you fat, and fell into not eating white potatoes, upsetting my mother in my early 20s, living at home in college, and can tell you that they don't, and have the very exact opposite effect. Okay, carbohydrates, and suppose even weight loss in particular, comes down to a numbers game. Right, carbs contain 4 calories per gram. This is something that should be taught in school. I actually do go around to schools, but even like the whole idea of it is that people have made it through school and didn't get these pieces and golden nuggets of information. So I'm here to literally pass on these tips, strategies on a daily, monthly, weekly, yearly basis. The second weekly shouldn't have been put in there. And that's literally what we're looking at here today. Proteins contain the exact same amount of kilocalories, and fats contain actually 9. So that's also where that myth came from, because the fats make you fat, because they're more than double the amount of calories, right? That's literally energy units that I suppose the body uses to move, to talk, to walk, to breathe, to function. So literally, without carbohydrates, you looking at losing weight and you take out carbohydrates, you'll have low energy levels. Okay, so it's about finding the balance. There is a sweet spot. Okay, but that's about understanding how much you need to eat, right? And generally, okay, people either eat excessive amounts, because we went on to our next point. It is easy to overeat them, and they do spike your blood sugar levels. That's literally the negatives, right? And they're even in vegetables, and I even mean like turnips, carrots, yeah, parsnips, all brassicas, the Brussels sprouts that are coming into season right now, if you don't know about that, in September, sown back in February, just for those people doing a little bit of growing in itself. So that's why people say cut carbs out. There's plenty of them to go around, and you're never going to most certainly be short them. You can. And if we are short on carbohydrates, carbohydrates and carbs for that matter, abbreviation of it, we tend to binge eat again. And it typically isn't protein foods, because protein foods are actually really the one that are something we have to consume every single day as well. Most people actually aren't sticking to single ingredient foods, because as I said, when we're binge eating, we don't go for, let's give an example, we don't go for any vegetable for that matter, right? It'd be great if we did, but the key thing is it'll be ultra processed foods. It'll be potatoes. It'll be, and sorry for even using that brand name, it will be crisps. It will be Pringles. It will be something that's been deep fat fried in a poor oil, which causes negative effects, and it hits the two things that you don't want to excessively eat, especially if weight loss is your goal: carbohydrates and fats. So, and they're one of those things that are a simple carbohydrate, because carbs can actually be split up into 2 main categories. This is actually all in my book that can't be too far away, but I'm also holding the mic here at the same time. So it's not a million miles away from me. But anyway, that's something that is key, right? And I chat to my good friend Brian on mostly TikTok on a regular basis about, I suppose, healthy food choices. And it can be difficult, but even knowing the basics about it, understanding it at its most basic level, carbs are essential. However, they are, and why they're demonized often, is because chocolate, alcohol, biscuits, cakes are all things that are put into the category of carbohydrates. Your body can run off them. Even alcohol is a carbohydrate, but it's a poor choice for your carbohydrates if you want to be, I suppose, a healthier version. And for the most part, people that listen to this podcast and other lives that I do on both TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and That's pretty much all. You can do lives on YouTube. I haven't done those quite just yet, but I do. And this podcast does go out on YouTube. So that's well worth noting. So the simple carbohydrates, let's name them out, are even your cereals. They're quicker release of energy. Okay. So those cereals I'm talking about are the multicolored ones with the monkey on the front. Those are the likes of the flakes with the animal that lays eggs on the front. Okay. And for the most part, again, those are two grains, rice and oats, that are sprayed with glyphosate and are not organic. There's no monkey organic grains that I know of, or chicken flakes that, you know what I'm talking about, right? And trying to use the brand names. I'm playing it in code in case they get me. Orange in color. There's a pip and a pop. Those are not your best choices of carbohydrates. Okay. And in combination, then people are, I suppose, again, undereating, they're undernourished. When your body's undernourished, you're going to lean toward binge eating. And that's what happens. Okay, those are pretty much naked carbohydrates, and that's what you don't want to eat. So carbohydrates are essential. I'll talk about why and how to eat them with your different foods items, whether it's a breakfast, a lunch, or a dinner, or even a snack. So not just eating cereal on its own, okay? Not just having other carbohydrates, even fruits can be something to spike your blood sugar levels. That if you're on an up, down kind of a cycle, that is going to cause negative effects. So fruits on its own can be something that isn't the best option for people already on an insulin sensitive, I suppose, state on their body. A lot of people say that they even need sugar in the morning. You need it in the morning and in the afternoon for the most part. Okay, just not in the simple form. A complex carbohydrate is something that's much more beneficial. That's why brown bread, which has a coating that hasn't been polished off, white bread, especially non organic, is in a sliced pan, no matter how fresh the quote on the front of, I'm going to say, the packaging, whether it be bright yellow, bright orange, or anything else, may say. It's another example of a brilliant bread would be sourdough bread. It's fermented, it's good for your gut health. And again, those are things you source locally, and it's something that we've highlighted, myself and Brendan Guinan from Fearvia Farms in County Portlaoise. We cycled the length of the country. If you haven't heard about that, there's a separate podcast that is out, and I definitely recommend it. It's about 3 or 4 shows back. If you haven't heard it, just scoop back down on the listing to gain the advantage of that. That was an experience in a lifetime. This mic is going great, and someone actually told me recently for recording purposes about when this podcast comes out, about 5 shows ago, that there was a massive TikTok every second. What in the name of God was that? And I was like, well, it's either Captain Hook's clock on his boat, or it's my famous clock, which actually is just outside the room right now because it is quite loud. And I went back to listen to the podcast, and it is quite... Anyway, but that's just a side point. So going on to our complex carbohydrates. Those complex carbohydrates are definitely something that I would recommend more people to eat. Okay, that would be, your potatoes, even white and sweet. And complex, why it's complex is, and thank God it's Friday, and when I record this show, and the shows will come out on a Thursday. And they are something that, have fiber. Fiber slows down the release of insulin, which can spike your blood sugar levels. Okay, so that's something well worth noting. So if you're having carbohydrates, it's great to have them in its whole form. So it's brown bread, that's brown rice, that's brown pasta. Okay, that's literally something, as I said, our potatoes and or the likes of your white or sweet with the skin on. Preferably make wedges of them. Oh, come on, don't make the skin. Eat the damn skin, especially if they're organic. Don't waste a single dingle drop of them. Okay, so that's well worth noting. Other complex carbohydrates would be, I'm going to say, whole wheat crackers. Right? A lot of people having them as kind of, I suppose, snacks throughout the day, and or different things like hummus on it. And with carbohydrates, and people say, it's not protein. Yeah, but it actually can make a complete protein. Bread, inclusive, in combination with the likes of hummus, makes a complete protein. And that, I suppose, is quite well symbolized if you guys are watching here on YouTube, is when your 2 fingers interlock together. So your bread is your left hand, stick that out if you're not driving a car, and your right hand is your hummus. You put those 2 together, it contains all 9 essential amino acids, and as a result of that, it is something that can help you to stay fuller for longer, okay, while also maintain your muscle and prevent cravings. That's the advantage of having 1 and 2 items put together, right? And they call that the combination link of amino acids between 2 food items. That's very cool. That can also be done with brown rice and chickpeas or any other beans for that matter, if people are wanting to do that on a more plant-based, I'm going to say, meal. And just a shout out to, I suppose, Amy listening over on, I'm going to say, TikTok, major fan of the show in itself. And yep, it's not often you get a shout out on these podcasts. So after that, right, it's adding these complex carbohydrates, grains such as, I'm going to say, oats, okay, are another absolute winner, okay. And I would definitely recommend my preferred favorite, okay, Merry Mill oats, also in Portlaoise, located not too far from Brendan and Fearvia Farm, and they can be ordered online and sent directly to your door. If you are ordering them and or want to get in contact with them, just get them up on social media, the Merry Mill. So that's like Merry Christmas. It's not a million miles away either. So that's the THE. Here's me dyslexic spelling. The THE, Merry, MERRY, and then Mill, MILL, on Instagram and most certainly TikTok too. You shoot him over a message, tell him you know me, and he may even give you free delivery. If not, tell him he should. Because he is somebody who is a major, I suppose, producer of real food, and that's what I do. I don't have the facilities to produce such high quality foods like that, and I'm the middleman that I get it from it, but I just know that you would gain massive advantages from it. And just talk a little bit about why organic oats are actually important for your overall gut health. Anyone suffering with IBS or have poor gut health due to poor skin health, because they're linked. Your largest organ in your body is your skin, and when you want to improve your overall health, you improve the likes of your, I'm going to say, foods, especially organic foods, first thing in the morning to hit your gut lining, because that's what they do. I would recommend oats, because if you're eating non-organic oats, okay, that's the first thing to hit your stomach. Okay, glyphosate is most definitely, can guarantee that's how they literally do it, to spray the oats to speed up the harvesting process. When we consume those foods, yes, it has a small bit of glyphosate. People say it's only a tiny bit over, I'm going to say, a lifetime makes a big hole. If you dug 1 spoon every day out of the soil over a period of time, 1 year, 2 year, 3, 4, 5, do you get me? 1 spoon a day of that glyphosate you could be consuming. That builds up, lads. I'm just saying that not to scare you, just to inform you. That's the truth. And when people say it's only a small amount, I say I know what I'd like a hell of a lot less in my diet of, right? Because it's hard to get, I suppose, some foods organic, but oats are definitely an easy one, for sure. So that's, I suppose, the idea of complex as opposed to simple carbohydrates. Just to repeat that again, simple carbohydrates are typically things that spike your blood sugar levels. That would be white breads, that would be white rice, that would be naked crackers on their own that some people end up consuming, pasta, even if I didn't mention that already, and alcohol, biscuits, chocolates, cakes are all naked carbohydrates that spike your blood sugar levels. When your blood sugar levels go up, what comes down? The likes of, I'm going to say, your cravings for different foods. So that's something that people must realize in itself. And that's the simple carbohydrates, opposed to the complex carbohydrates. And quinoa would be another one as well. Bulgur wheat, another one. All things definitely being able to be consumed at refill stores, or sorry, purchased to consume at refill stores, and or you can get them at any of your health food stores and or local shops near you. Or if not, just order them online. God damn it, simple stuff. Everything we got online. So that's moving on to so the different diets that end up demonizing, I'm going to say, carbohydrates would be your keto diet. Something that I have tried. Yes, it was something that is beneficial for people who want more energy, but for the same point of you can't and we can't, I can't. Tried it for 8 weeks. Amazing stuff. I've tried all the diets for 8 weeks to date, and vegan, vegetarian. Haven't actually tried strictly carnivore. I suppose keto would be that. Maybe I had some veg in there too, so then it wasn't. But anyway, keto diet is something that when your body switches up to back on to keto, is something that your body emits and uses up all its glycogen, which is your body's first source of energy. Carbohydrates are converted in the body to glycogen, which your muscles use as energy. That's just the basic principles of food, glycogen, energy source for the body. And if people were taught that, it would make it so much easier. And after that, the next thing is keto. The keto diet is something that, again, you eliminate bread, you eliminate potatoes, you eliminate all sweet treats, even at birthdays and Christmas. So as a result of that, it is something that I do recommend for anyone playing sports, whether it's at the weekend or it may be throughout just your workouts that you may be doing at home or in a gym, which most of my clients are actually doing at this moment in time. So that's well worth noting in itself. And I didn't enjoy taking out carbohydrates for the 8 weeks and just couldn't wait to, I suppose, finish the trial. And I feel much better when I do have carbohydrates. But for the most part, it's actually, lads, a simple thing. If you're looking to be healthier or lose weight, reach any fitness goal, eat more real foods. Real foods are not the problem. No one overeats on like the fruits and vegetables, eggs or meats. It's processed foods are and alcohol that are people's issue from the moment they get up to the moment they get to bed. So I'd well recommend you guys, I suppose, getting back onto the real foods as best you possibly can, right? Cutting out carbohydrates, you will lose weight, okay? Because what actually carbohydrates actually do as well, if you haven't ever heard this before, they hold on to and retain moisture, more so water, a certain amount of water in the body, which water is going to weigh on the likes of the scales. You take out carbohydrates, you will lose water weight. And that's why they say the most significant amount of weight when you go on to any particular one diet, that being carbohydrate taken out of your breakfast, lunch, and dinner is going to be dramatic. And people say, I've lost pounds, kgs, depending on what your starting point is. And that's why people see, supposedly, in the initial phases of a keto or a low carb diet, massive weight difference on the scales. That's not necessarily fat loss. Weight loss is different to fat loss, okay? And that's why you want to, I suppose, use different strategies, such as what I will say, incorporating in exercises that help your body to, I suppose, tap into your fat stores. And that's why I would always recommend a little bit of cardio as well as weight training, okay, to get your best bang for your buck, because that is something that people are not doing enough of. Firstly, you're not consuming enough whole foods, and secondly, you're not doing enough resistance style training. All you need is a set of dumbbells at home, the side underneath your bed, where you can work out in any tiny space at all. Okay, for 20 minutes is what most of my clients are doing. Some people go slightly more than that, but for the most part. And if someone says to me, and I'm bringing them on to a weight loss program, they say, Coleman, I don't have any time. And I say, if you don't have 20 minutes, you don't have a weight management problem. You have a time management issue. And that's really, really important. Most people must realize that if they're looking to improve at something, you have to give it time. And there's no substitute for it. You can take tablets. I think there's injections out there now, and there's loads of funny stuff that goes in between. But you can't beat making you priority. And that's what has to happen, right? And if you don't do that, what tends to happen is you go further and further and further away from where you want to be. You want to feel, you want to look your best, you want to put on clothes and jeans and dresses and everything else, all right, so that you feel confident going to different events or just even to work for that matter. And when you look your best, you feel your best, everyone else wins out the other side of it. You have more energy for the kids. You are literally hopping off the ground. You're able to help more people. And that's the key principle. You cannot most certainly help someone else to your full capability if you're not feeling your best in itself. And that is why I suppose I want to educate people on foods, whether it's you growing your own or buying it. Like potatoes, I've just literally finished a project where we planted potatoes last March. Okay, March is when you typically plant potatoes in Ireland outside. And as a result of that, you will get an abundance of food. Orla was the variety that we chose, and we had them. I had them, they had them. It was over 10 kgs in a tiny plot. I mean, literally, tiny couple of meters, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 meters total. Okay. And as a result of that, we all had spuds for the week. How lovely is that? In just a couple of meters bed. And there was a group of us that sowed them, group of us and harvested, and they weren't sprayed with harsh chemicals. Potatoes are amazing. They've been a staple diet of Irish and American, European, or all listeners of this podcast, and Australia. You're listening out there too. Shout out to the boys. And it's something that's delicious. The taste is amazing. Because when you get spuds, right, generally throughout the year, they're actually been stored from the previous year, because spuds can store over winter. And that's just another thing about food. Some people don't realize where foods come from and how important they are to get them local, because you get them fresher. And fresh foods have higher nutrition. And that's it. That's the key. Okay, and this was just to even recap over those things again. Carbohydrates are something that I would eat, and typically I would have one meal that may not have it. You can call it a salad type lunch, right? Or just a lunch that doesn't have high carbs. Yogurts can be that too. And then throughout the rest of the day, you're getting in carbohydrates, but complex preferably. The likes of your quinoa, quinoa, whatever the cool kids are calling it these days. We go with the likes of bulgur wheat, you can go with potatoes, you can go with brown bread, you can go with sourdough bread, you can go with any which way you like. And or veg, remember that, being a carbohydrate too, and complex. Those are the ones that you want. Okay, so leaving things up to chance, whether you're going to go into a deli and hope that you'll eat something healthy and say that you don't have time. Again, let's recap that classic one. We won't forget it. If you say the words, I don't have time, it's not that you have a weight management problem. It's you have a time management issue. You need to sort out your day. You need to line yourself up with the likes of, I'm going to say, so many things that can help you. A routine of healthy lifestyle. And just that key point again about the likes of organic oats. Organic oats are not sprayed with, I'm going to say, glyphosate. Okay, they're not allowed. It's forbidden. Glyphosate is known and to be a carcinogenic that causes cancer. And that's something we don't want. It causes inflammation in the body. Inflammation is the root cause of all diseases. Non-organic oats are pretty much guaranteed that they've been sprayed, okay, to speed up the harvest of the ripening process, so that it makes it easier for them to be taken up by the combine harvester. So when you get organic oats from any source that you can, Kilbeggan is another one. Mary Mill, I'm just good friends with Kevin, and he's someone who supported the cycle as well in several different ways. He was very supportive to myself and Brendan, cycling the length of it. So that's something that for literally 50 cents or maybe even €1 or $1 extra, you would be getting oats that would literally be lining your stomach that haven't been sprayed. Because that's that simple tip again. When you eat those cheaper oats, like €1, that's $1. That would not break the bank. And porridge is really, really easy to be and made into different things, like energy nut bars that I would have on my organic fitness program is something that, I think the recipe is pretty much up on my stories on Instagram. If you haven't checked it, it's at the top. I think they call it highlights. Yeah, it's called highlights. And that full recipe with all ingredients, and oats are heavily used in that for energy. People ask me, Colin, what coffee do you drink? I don't eat coffee. I don't eat coffee or drink it for that matter. I eat real foods. I pretty much have oats for breakfast, and always organic oats. I can't remember the last time I had non-organic oats. That's the truth. But I used to, and I used to have as much energy, and I used to be, I suppose, a different man and not understand nutrition, not understand foods and where they come from and how important they were for the body. I don't need coffee. I drink mostly water, again, from typically glass jars that I can either reuse. And that's something that also is important because there are microplastics in bottled water. Again, this information is not to scaremonger anybody. I just want people eating better foods so that they understand it at the nutritional level, as well as the production, how food is made, okay? Whether it's chicken, fish, turkey, eggs, oats, potatoes, or anything else. This is something that should be more widely known. And that's what I'm here to do. Okay? Other than that, I suppose I'm just going to leave this podcast by saying again, I have programs that will be starting for online one-to-one clients. If anyone is interested in that, you can send me a message or contact me on the likes of my website. That's something that, again, I'm able to take on a certain amount of people at any one time. And there are limited spaces due to that factor, because this isn't a marketing thing. When I don't have any more time in the week to coach and mentor people and grow and do different site visits, there is no more time. So when they're gone, they are gone. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So other than that, yeah, if you want to book in for any of those calls with myself, just go over to my website and fill in the details there, or send me a message privately on any of the social media platforms. I'm on all of them. All right. Or that, get on that good stuff. And stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic.